For the last session, I will be showing you a little bit how point clouds work in BricsCAD. So let me share my screen. All right. So if you haven't done it already, I would like you to go to the PDF included with this point clouds file for the point cloud files, and at page 3 there is a link provided where you can download the specific point cloud that I'm going to show in this presentation. So if you would like to try it out yourself, please download this and unzip it, and I will show you now how to attach it to have it in BricsCAD. So let's do that. So how BricsCAD works with point clouds, we have our own data structure. So in order to have traditional file formats for point clouds to be viewed and edited in BricsCAD, you will have to pre-process it one time. So we set it up convert it in our own data structure and create the bubble views that you can see in BricsCAD. So if you have downloaded that zip file that I told you about and unzipped it, you will see there is one E57 file inside, and you just need to attach the point clouds into this. So this file, so you can choose for file or folder, so you can pre-process multiple files at once as well. So, but in this case, it's just one little file, and you will have you will have your dialog open where you can find the downloaded zip file and just select the E57 file that you have downloaded and just click open. And then basically what it does, it will run and pre-process this point cloud file in the background. And in the status bar, it will say point clouds is pre-processing. If you would like to try this out yourself, maybe already do this now, because this pre-processing will take about, depending on your computer specifications, it will take around 10 to 15 minutes. So in order not to waste time during the breakout session, maybe already start to attach the downloaded point clouds and pre-process it into BricsCAD. So more information again in the zip file, in the PDF file, specifically about importing a point cloud that I just showed you with attached point clouds. This is on page 4. So if you would just do this little part just to load it in, then you can directly use it during the breakout session. And if you have problems with this loading, you can directly address it so you don't waste time. So for me, I already, of course, done this pre-processing. So all the pre-processed files will be stored in a local file inside of BricsCAD. In this case, let me open up settings and show you. It will be in a folder called point cloud cache. So if I just hover onto point clouds, you will see point cloud this cache folder. So this is just an automatically set up folder, your local file where next to the support folder. Of course, some point clouds are very large. So this one is only, I think, around 10 gigabytes. But typically point clouds can go to like 500 gigabytes and so on. So instead of this local folder, you can use this path and replace it to a path to your external drive, for example, if you have bigger point clouds that you would like to work with. But I will just set it by default, so you will see. So after this pre-processing, for each sort of point cloud file, you need to do this one time. And when this is done, you can basically call up this same point cloud whenever you like, and you don't have to load it again and again. So it will be an instant reference basically. So for that, I'm going to use point cloud reference because I already pre-processed this specific point cloud once. So this is this one. So I just clicked on point cloud reference, and you will have the dialog inside this point cloud cache folder. So these are all the pre-processed point clouds that I have currently in my local folder. I have an external drive for it as well with larger point clouds. In the PDF, there is also some explanation for the best performances if you use an external drive, what kind of specs that it needs. But for now, I'm just using this one and click OK. And you can attach it to a certain insertion point and scale and rotation and such. But I would just do the default, and it will be here instantly, so that I don't have to load this point cloud in every time and wait 10 minutes, 20 minutes to have it visualized. You can just directly reference it because you already have it in your point cloud cache folder. So this is basically instantly, even if my point cloud is 100 gigabytes, 200 gigabytes large, it will be an instant thing once you have, of course, pre-processed it once. So that one time will take some time, of course, if you have bigger point clouds, but after that, it should be an instant thing to pull out. All right, so now we have our point clouds. Let me show you a little bit how to display and how the display settings work. The first thing is adaptive display. Currently, I have the adaptive display on, so point cloud adaptive display, so it should be on, so 1. But if I switch back to a 0, so put it off, you will see if I now hover, you will see that, yeah, it's not that dense. It's pretty, there are gaps in between the points that I have. That's because when scanning a point cloud, some parts, so you can see here in the back, these points are much more dense compared to, for example, this part right here where I have more and more gaps. So adaptive display, it will basically fill out these gaps for you in order to have a more realistic and natural look to it. So if I just put on adaptive display back on, you will see that if I now hover, you will see that the point cloud sizes, the point sizes, excuse me, will depend on how many density points that it has, and it will basically fill up those gaps for you in order to have like a filled look and don't have any gaps on certain parts of your point cloud. So this is adaptive display. Of course, you can set it off if you don't like to have this changing all the time. Another thing that you can do with point clouds, if you, maybe I zoom in a little bit more, is set the point clouds points max. So the maximum number of points that you want to have in your drawing. Currently, let's see, I think it's around 4 million. So it's pretty detailed. But yeah, of course, if you have a very big point cloud and you don't want it to have to be that detailed, you can set it to, for example, 500,000. And you will see that the points are less detailed than before. It's a little bit bigger because of the adaptive display. It will fill out the little gaps that I have because I have less points. If I put it back onto 4 million, you will see that it will be a little bit more detailed again. So like this, you can play around a little bit for your display settings. I mentioned before with the adaptive display, it's automatically kind of resizes the points for you to have a filled out look, but you can also manually add the size, increase or decrease the sizing of your points. So like this, you can make it larger, and you can also go back and make it a little bit less big. Maybe this is too much. So let me increase one size like this. All right, so these are some display settings. Now let's take a look at the top view right now. So you see that this point cloud is not perfectly aligned with UCS. You can do this manually, so just select the point cloud and rotate it until you kind of have the same alignment, but you can also do this automatically with point cloud align and just you can do a selection, or you can do the full point cloud, and it will calculate the angle for you, and you will see now the point cloud is rotated according to your X and Y axis. So that's pretty handy for that. Another display setting that you can do with point clouds. So these are the scanned colors. You can also set it with a color map. So for example, elevation or intensity, you can just set it with other colors. So for example, here I would have the lower parts blue and more warm colored upstairs. You can also select this point cloud and open it in the properties, and you will see this visualization here as well. So let's say I want to change it up to, hold on a second. Yeah, you want to change it up with intensity, for example, you will see you will have another look to your point cloud as well. Let me change it back to scanned if it's done not responding. Oops, let me just pull it back up really quickly. So these point clouds are, by the way, all in the Pro license. So, or maybe. So again, if I have an empty drawing, you can just insert it back so I don't waste time. All right, it's got it back. So back to the scanned colors. Let's open up a section. So here you can just use your regular section plane commands and open up this part of the point clouds like this. Let me just open up it a little bit higher, something like this. And you will see that you have some green spheres inside of it as well. So these represent the scan positions of the point clouds. And if I double click on it, for example, here, there will be another dialog open with the actual scan positioning and the photos attached to it. So like this, you can scroll around to see a realistic view of the actual scan position from this point cloud. There are several modes. You have tab with the UCS colors. So for example, the roof and the floor is perpendicular with the z-axis, the green and the red perpendicular with the x and y axis. The next view that you can get is the depth map. So the further, the more dark, and then here, if it's more near, you will see a lighter representation. And then you will have the RGB colored view again. You can also align this view. For example, this certain perspective I would like to have as well in my BricsCAD, because now it's just an overview somewhere, but I would like to have the same view. I can Control A, and I will have the same view in BricsCAD. So this is another way to navigate or have a specific view if you would like to. Let me just zoom out again. Of course, because it's aligning the same view perspective mode is on, but usually I like it to be off, but it's a personal preference. Next thing that we want to do is cropping. So sometimes you have a very, very large point clouds. And maybe there are some specific parts that you don't need. For example, here it's maybe not that interesting for me to use. Let me just quickly align it again. Okay. So for example, this part right here, it's maybe not that relevant in my project, so I can basically crop it with a rectangle. You can have other geometry as well. So like this, I can crop it out and I can just use the other ones. It's not deleted. So if you would like to, at the end, show it back, for example, you can uncrop it if you would like to. Also notice that these bubble views are only in the interior of the building. That's because this scan specifically didn't scan anything on the outside. So you will also see that some of the exterior walls are not that detailedly scanned because they didn't scan the outside of the building. They only scanned the inside. And last thing, yeah, so the bubble views you can also set off if you don't like them. You can do this by clicking on the point clouds and go to properties and show bubbles. You can turn it off if you would like to. So for example, for screenshots or anything for visualization, you can have nicer shots without the green bubbles in the way. Last thing, specifically for point clouds, for eSnap, we also have a specifically dedicated snap for point clouds now. So here you see nearest point. So let's turn it on. And now if I do whatever command, so for example, move, so if I select all these and just type in M, enter, you will see now if I hover over a point cloud, I will have this like blue cross as a snap. So these are the point cloud nearest point snap. So if I click on that, and let's say I want to move it somewhere near the origin, I can do that. And I can go back like this, and you will see now it has moved my UCS there where I snapped my point cloud to. So like this, you can draw lines. You can, for example, measure parts of a point cloud where you can actually really snap to certain parts of the point cloud, so it will be more accurate. Lastly, let me show you a little bit on how to start modeling with point clouds. Of course, this is mainly manual, but using just the direct modeling tools in the modeling workspace. So for example, here again, I'm using the point cloud snap feature just to quickly check how thick this wall is, around 13 centimeters. So like this, I can, for example, use polysolid tool to change the width, let's say 113. And then I can manually hover over certain parts of the building where I want to maybe add in an exterior wall or something like that. So like this, I'm just doing some points whenever, just to show you the idea. It's not that accurate, of course. But yeah, let's say something like this, and I can enter a height, and you will have like a boundary according to your point cloud. So if I open that, you will see a little bit of the beginning of how to model with point clouds. Of course, we also have some more automatic tools for that, but that's a BIM license feature. For example, Fit Planner, it will take the point cloud in account and create 3D geometry with it. For example, creating walls, creating slabs, and so on. But that's for BIM. As for point cloud features for the Pro license, I think I will stop here. So this you can still do with the Pro license. You can measure, you can still do a lot of edits and viewing and cropping with point clouds. So maybe you can you can try it out in the breakout rooms. So I hope by now your point cloud is pre-processed, so you can now open it in BricsCAD and start these viewing and displaying and editing your cells. So let's go to the breakout rooms and see if you have any problems with attachment.